hit like, and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We hold Night School, where I break down the most interesting topics, the most controversial subjects, the most contested debates going on in the world today. And tonight is no different. Shout out to everybody here who supports Night School. Shout out to everybody here who has been weighing in on the conversation. And shout out to everybody here who is ready to have a great dialogue tonight. We got so much going on. Inauguration fallout continues. I mean, it just continues. We're seeing more and more evidence that Donald Trump is going to be the exact person y'all thought he was, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. The man is exactly who he said he was going to be. And I think some of y'all are shocked. You were so focused on who you didn't want to win that you didn't think about who would win. Or you thought about the upside and didn't consider the downside. You can make whatever decisions you want about who you vote for, but you have to know elections have consequences. And right now, Donald Trump's laying out exactly what he wants the world to be, and he's trying to make that happen. Side note, we're not covering it tonight, but he's obviously at Davos right now. He's at the World Economic Forum, and he's wrecking shop. He's slamming Biden's policies. He's strong-arming the global community, and he's trying to pressure OPEC and the Saudis around oil. I mean, it's such an interesting thing with Donald Trump. You know, there's a way that his simplistic analysis and his bully strong arm tactics are unnerving and frustrating. And then there's a way where it's kind of like, some of that shit you get done. So, you know, I would err on the side of not supporting Trump. But I understand why people are drawn to him, why people are attracted to him, politically speaking. I don't think anyone's physically attracted to him in the history of the world. Certainly not Melania. Looking at them dancing at the inaugural ball, she looked like she couldn't wait to get away from him. That had been the closest she'd been to him in a long time, and she hoped to never have to repeat that mistake. But no extra charge for that comment. Maybe one of these days, Night School will be sponsored by somebody. Between energy drinks and coffee, I feel like somebody owe us something. Jalen said, "Did you pop an Adderall?" No, I had a energy beverage just now. Why do I look wired? Do I look wired? Do I look like I did pop the Adderall? Well, Adderall take like 30, 40 minutes to kick in. I probably look like I did a line in or something, and I don't do that. So say no to drugs. No, just energy drinks. And, you know, I keep the coffee here. But anyway, let's get to some of these stories, man. So much going on. So much going on. And yes, I am no skiing. No skiing in any way. Sometimes when people say skiing, they mean doing cocaine. Sometimes when people say skiing, they mean messing with white women. In either case, if it's snowing, I'm not going. Anyway, let me stop being silly, man, before y'all really think I'm high as I'm. Mark's a snowboarder. I am not. Again, in no way, form, or fashion. But let's get to some of these stories, y'all, because we got stuff to talk about. Let's start off by talking about Donald Trump declassifying the MLK assassination files. That's right. Today, in one of God knows how many executive orders Donald Trump has made already, the most in U.S. history on a first day, and now the most in a week, Donald Trump signed an executive order that would declassify any remaining documents that are related to the murder, the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The announcement came today, January 23rd. And it came with another order that he signed that will basically do the same thing for the file of John F. Kennedy, JFK, as well as his brother Robert F. Kennedy, the one we like, not the new one, the old one. And so JFK, RFK, and King kind of all together. And Trump said that, quote, this is a big one. And he said, quote, a lot of people are waiting for this for a long time, for years, for decades. Basically what he's doing is he's ordering the Director of National Intelligence and the Attorney General to space this out and to lay this out over 45 days, a 45-day plan to release RFK's files and MLK's files. And then they'll have 15 days to propose a plan within 15 days to release the JFK files. Though it's not entirely clear who's going to do it. But this is important. This is important. Now, Donald Trump says that he's doing it. And he said this the day before inauguration. He said that he's doing this to restore public trust and to restore, quote, transparency and accountability of government. We'll get back to that in a second. He said that his administration will, quote, reverse the overclassification of government documents. And in the coming days, we're going to make public remaining records related to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other topics of great public interest. Now, of course, there are files already released. The National Archives website has information from the Select Committee's investigation of the assassination, how they dealt with James Earl Ray, who is the named killer. He is the convicted killer of Martin Luther King. They also have the FBI surveillance of King, as well as the other people I mentioned. All this stuff will get released sooner than later. There's also FBI transcripts, there's wiretaps of King. There's all kinds of stuff. If you remember, or if you know, most of y'all weren't born yet. But in 1977, a federal judge ordered the FBI to turn the material over to the archives and ordered it sealed for 50 years. That seemed forever ago. But the closer I get to 50, the more I realize that's coming soon. And so those documents are going to be public in February of 2027. So this is the backdrop. You know, a lot going on with that. The King family has since spoken. This happened a couple of hours ago. And since that moment where the King family was notified, or the public was notified, the King family has basically said, hey, we would like to see the files first. In fact, there's a joint statement from Bernice King and Martin Luther King III. They're the last two remaining children of MLK. And they said, today our family has learned that President Trump has ordered the declassification of the remaining records pertaining to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert F. Kennedy, and our father, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For us, the assassination of our father is a deeply personal family loss that we have endured over the last 56 years. We hope to be provided the opportunity to review the files as a family prior to its public release. Again, to review the files as a family prior to its public release. Some people think that's unreasonable. Other people think that that's a fair ask. I want to know what y'all think. Is this a fair ask? Is this a ridiculous ask? Good question. I'm gonna give you my answer. I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. First of all, the United States declassifying the MLK documents to make things transparent is an interesting move, and the timing is interesting. The people that Donald Trump is trying to appease don't believe in the U.S. government being transparent. They are the conspiracy theory people. These are the people that think that every single part of life in the United States is a trap. It is a plot. It is a conspiracy. This is what they believe. And so it's a gesture to say, hey, we're going to open it all up and show you the truth. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If you think that the United States has some deep secrets, and they do, and that somehow they're going to be made plain, they're going to be opened up, that they're going to become transparent by showing the files, I got a bridge to sell you. If the United States did something, they didn't write it in a folder that can be exposed by Donald Trump or anybody else. This isn't about Donald Trump. This is just about how the United States works. The FBI surveillance of MLK is interesting. And of course, the COINTELPRO, the government counterintelligence program, has been, because of the Freedom of Information Act, it shows you all the stuff that the U.S. did, the plotting, the lying, the harassment they had in MLK. I mean, you had J. Edgar Hoover literally trying to convince Martin Luther King Jr. to kill himself, literally trying to convince him to kill himself. So we do know that this stuff is written down, but the deeper level, that's just one level below sea level. I'm saying we got to go deeper. When you go deeper, found out a whole lot more. You find out a whole lot more. When we start talking about assassinations, whether it's Malcolm X or Martin King or Robert F. Kennedy, you're talking about layers and layers and layers of conspiracy. There's no way the FBI had this much of a track on Martin King, and yet somehow he was assassinated without the government knowing or being involved in it. There was some complicity there, whether it's that the government had something to do with it actively or they just did nothing while someone else did it. But the point here is that it is hard to believe. It is hard to believe that if the government had something to do with this, that it's going to come out in these folders. And it's hard to believe that if the folders are clean, the files are clean and declassified, and there's nothing there that makes the government culpable, that means that it's true. We don't know. I'm not here to spin a conspiracy about who killed MLK. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I am doing is saying that whatever we don't know about Martin Luther King Jr., if there is a conspiracy, it won't be made plain by Donald Trump declassifying anything. That's not how this thing works. And as far as the family wanting to see it, I think that's right. Given the amount of harassment the King family has received, given the amount of pain they've had to endure, I think it's important for them to see what's in those files so that they can prepare, so they can have messaging, so they can have an emotional response. Because Martin Luther King Jr. is a complicated figure. His life is complicated. His life was complicated. His story was complicated. His struggle was unique. And so, at least just based on what I know from the COINTELPRO stuff and the rumors I've heard about what's in the FBI stuff, I think it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for them to say, hey, you declassifying this, you're making this clear, you're making this plain, that's fine. But let us give us the dignity and the care to be prepared for it. I think that's fine. MLK family is like royalty in this country. They are no different than any U.S. presidential family, and I think the same care we give them, those people, we got to give these people. So then the next question becomes, why now? Why now? Why does Donald Trump care this much about this to do this now? Now, it could just be campaign promises. It could just be good public relations. He was talking about doing it for a minute. Or they're trying to distract us from something. Or they're trying to distract us from something. That's the question for me. That's the thing for me. While we're looking at these files, what will the U.S. government be doing? While we're reading every detail that's been made plain, what the heck? What the heck will the Trump administration be doing? That's the question to me. That's the question to me. That's what I want to know. That's what I need to know. And that's what I'm scared about. Because MLK declassifications, RFK declassifications, JFK declassifications, they are going to have the world captivated, enraptured. We're going to be talking about it, reading closely. It'll be like a bunch of hermeneutical scholars out here. It's going to be so much going on. What's getting passed? It's like Trump right now with the executive orders. There's so many of them, and we get so excited about some of the more prominent ones. But what's happening with the ones that are less prominent? Who stands to lose? Who stands to gain? These are the questions we got to think about. These are the questions that we got to think about. Shout out to people who are watching the show for the first time. I swear we don't get this wild with the conspiracy theories or the MLK stuff. We don't do deep state stuff a lot. But these are questions that we have to ask. These are questions that we have to answer. Shout out to Isaac Hemseed, by the way, who gifted a membership. He's so generous all the time. Isaac Hemseed, yo, I hope one of y'all grab that membership. And of course, Jazz LP said roundtables, chats, conventions, reparations, talk. All I want to know is, when will the revolution start? And will it be televised here on the MLA? I promise you, this is Dallas's finest Jazz LP. I can assure you that the revolution gonna be right here. It's gonna be right here on the channel, yo. We got another question coming in that I think is important, and I think it's important because it actually speaks to what Trump has been doing with his executive orders. And I want to pull it up really quickly, this next question, because it's not a small thing. It's not a small thing. Maddie said, do you see how trans people are facing genocide? The word genocide is going to trigger some people here. It's going to make people say, oh, it's not a genocide. Oh, it is a genocide. Let's not focus on the word genocide for a minute. And let's focus on the fact that Donald Trump has waged war on trans rights. From the moment Donald Trump re-entered office on Monday, he has been at war with the trans community. He is literally dismantling every piece of protection for trans folk in this country, and really raising questions and challenging the legitimacy of gender itself. So the first thing that Donald Trump has done is withdraw or undo a bunch of executive orders that were already done. For example, allowing trans folk to serve in the military, advancing the health and well-being of the LGBTQ youth, and also interpreting federal sex discrimination protections in domains like housing, immigration, education, or in anything that kind of prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. The order is pretty flat. The order states that the U.S. government is only going to recognize two sexes, male and female, and that those two sexes are fixed at birth, meaning you're born a boy, you're born a girl, that's it. And it orders the government agencies to end all reference to and consideration of a person's gender identity. Again, just to lay this flat for y'all, sex is biological. This is the argument, right? Sex is biological. It's the chromosomes you have. That's all it is. We understand gender to be a social construct. So a person who is born with certain body parts and certain chromosomes, you are female. This person, you are male. The government is now saying that's all that matters. So the social construct of being boy or girl, irrelevant. Your hormones, irrelevant. Your desires, your interests, your connections, your feelings, irrelevant. So this isn't just for trans folk. This is just gender identity writ large. This makes things complicated. If you're a trans person that wants to get a passport or other federal documentation, you can have your gender identity played out, right? Not anymore. If you're non-binary, sorry, no such thing. You were born a boy, you're a boy. You were born a girl, you're a girl. So that's it. So this goes multiple levels though, right? The order also pledges to withhold federal funding from any programs that promote what they call gender ideology. Now, this is language that's been used by the extremists on the right all throughout Europe, all throughout Latin America, and increasingly here in the United States. It's basically an idea that makes it seem like anyone who talks about gender as an identity, as a socially constructed identity in particular, is kind of part of some wingnut cult. That's how they're making it seem. That's how they're making it sound. This is awful. Forget whether or not you believe in trans identity, which to me is a silly conversation to have. Trans people are real. Trans identity is real. But whether you believe in it or not, whether you agree with it or not, the law is actually going to do considerable harm to people. For example, now a trans woman will be held in a men's prison. Now we know that a trans woman in a men's prison is exponentially more likely to be sexually assaulted, to be physically beaten, to be denied, and now they'll be denied gender affirming care as well. There are so many arguments for why this is a problem. Now, there will be legal challenges, there will be struggles, we'll have seat debates. But at the end of the day, the Trump administration is creating the conditions for trans people to be harmed in every single domain of life, which I see why Maddie raised the question of using the language of genocide. If we're talking about a kind of concerted effort, right, targeted toward a certain people to undermine the life chances, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's an argument there. But again, even if I don't want people to get so hung up on whether it's meets the legal standard of genocide or not, that they lose sight of the fact that our trans lives are being attacked relentlessly, and that we have to do something about it. This is wild, and it's scary. It's a scary time for a lot of people, and I understand why. Since we're speaking of genocide, though, let's actually jump over to Gaza, because right now Israel's war on Gaza continues. Just because a ceasefire was announced does not mean that Israel has not continued to wage war, not just on Gaza, but on the Palestinian people as a whole. This war on Gaza, which is a genocide in Gaza, has killed 47,283 Palestinians. I'll say that number again. 47,283 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. Another 111,472 have been wounded since October 7th. Now, since the ceasefire happens, people say, oh, it's over now. Oh, it's over now. The violence is done. We can move forward. Well, in some ways it's true, right? That things are better. Humanitarian aid is coming in. The trucks are just flowing into Gaza. The violence, the random violence has subsided. These are the good parts. But people are returning home to places that don't exist anymore. Almost everybody in Gaza is unhoused now. Everybody's displaced. The water infrastructure, 70% of the water infrastructure has been destroyed. This is tragic. But it's not just Gaza. The West Bank is under assault in every way imaginable. Israeli troops today killed 2 more Palestinians in the West Bank. They've been tearing Jenin refugee camp up. 10 people have been killed there since Tuesday. Dozens have been wounded there since Tuesday. And the Israeli military and intelligence service said a quote series of operations end quote will be carried out in Jenin as they're fighting what they call a multi-front war that has now shifted to the West Bank. So they're basically saying it's on and popping in the West Bank as well. This is scary, particularly at a moment where the goal has been laid out very clearly, very, very clearly, that the settlers want the West Bank. that Israel thinks all of it is theirs and they want it. You know, and so you're going to see what that happened in the West Bank, and then of course inside of Gaza, they're still killing. It's not the 40, 50, 60, 120 people a day, but it's still a high number. It's something that we can't ignore. Well, the bunny said tank fire in Rafah today, 2 were martyred. Yes, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. And this is what is scary. All right, y'all. Before we go, I want to tell you just another thing. I thought this was fascinating and scary stuff. When Donald Trump was elected last time, the first time, people said, oh, he may never leave office, that he may stage a coup. When he lost to Joe Biden in the next election in 2020, people were unsure if he'd leave, particularly after the Capitol was rushed, particularly after he didn't want people to certify elections. There's a way that people said Donald Trump is never leaving, certainly not without a fight. And there were other people like myself who said, look, Donald Trump isn't going to just stay in office forever. The military won't allow that to happen. The US people won't allow that to happen. The global community won't allow that to happen. But what you might see is, again, is what I said many times, is that he may try to get the law changed, that Donald Trump will get the law changed so that he can stay president forever. Sure enough, today, we saw the first in what will be a long string of efforts to keep Donald Trump in office forever. Today, Representative Andy Ogles, he's a rep out of Tennessee, proposed an amendment in the U.S. Constitution that would allow President Trump to serve a 3rd term in the White House so that the country, quote, can sustain the bold leadership our nation so desperately needs. So he proposed an amendment specifically in Congress. He proposed an amendment that would change the Constitution to say the following. And by the way, this is the 22nd Amendment. If you don't know, the 22nd Amendment is the one that bars a person from running for a 3rd White House term. The amendment now says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times. It used to say 2 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. So basically, it's all this. It's the same as what we have now. They're just moving the numbers up, because the idea here is that you can't be president more than twice. And if you happen to be vice president and there's an assassination or some other reason you're in charge, if you're in charge for more than 2 years, then that counts as one of your 2 terms. So you can't be like VP, take over for president, for 3 years, and then become president for 2 years. For 2 terms, and then become vice president for the next person, and then they get sick and you do it again. Right? The idea is to prevent these kinds of things from happening. Donald Trump is barred from being president because that's how this country works. We've had it happen before, but we made changes after the Roosevelt movement. But this man, Andrew Ogles, who I don't know if Andy Ogles is serious about this or if he's just trying to earn favor with the Trumpster. But what we know for sure is that he takes it seriously. He's acting like he's taking himself seriously. He says, President Trump's decisive leadership stands in sharp contrast to the chaos, suffering, and economic decline Americans have endured over the past 4 years. He has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history. Jesus, the ball clapping is crazy. He has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing our nation's decay and restoring America to greatness, and he must be given the time necessary to accomplish that goal. Wow. They're like cult members, man. Now, the thing is, again, Donald Trump has been setting us up for this. Even after he won, just this week, he said, I suspect I won't be running again unless you do something. I'm sorry, he said this back in November. Unless you say he's so good, we just have to figure it out. So he's laying out a kind of, he's setting us up. Now, Republicans said they thought it was a joke, some of them. Others haven't said anything. But I promise you, I promise you. I promise you. If Donald Trump gets a chance to be president a third time, he's going to take it. Now, what you all have to think about, and I hope you've been thinking about this for a long time, is do you want Donald Trump to be president again a third time? Do you want a president who would be in his 80s at that point, well into his 80s, doing this? Donald Trump didn't look all that sharp before. Donald Trump didn't seem all that together and bright before. But now you want somebody close to 90 who's not well and not healthy doing it? I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like one bit of it. I'm not trying to make a case for why Donald Trump shouldn't be reelected. I think my position on that is clear. I'm just saying, like, even if I accepted that as a premise, I still wouldn't want it to be him. I still wouldn't want it to be him. Trisha Gonzalez, gracias, compañera. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. There was one more story I wanted to cover. Yes, your girl Kelly Rowland comes through. If you didn't love Kelly Rowland before, you should love her now. Nelly made a decision to perform at one of the inauguration events for Donald Trump. And we talked about all the controversy of Nelly and Snoop Dogg and Soulja Boy, who I didn't really talk about, and Rick Ross, all were catching all the hell they're catching for performing at the event. Well, apparently Kelly Rowland, member of Destiny's Child, the great Kelly Rowland, also a solo singer on her own. Kelly Rowland heard that Nelly was going to appear, and because they have a song together, a very nice, famous song, a classic to me, Dilemma, she decided that they need to do something about that. So she made sure that Nelly didn't use their song. He's like, I don't want to see Nelly on stage with Donald Trump singing Dilemma. And I actually didn't think that was going to happen anyway, just because I didn't think those was the vibes, but you never know. I figured Hot in Here would be, they want them upbeat songs. It's like when you go to a Stevie Wonder concert and all the white people are clapping, they clapping that boogie on Reggae Woman, you know what I mean? Not lately. But anyway, Kelly Rowland intervened, and she's blocked Nelly from performing Dilemma at inauguration. She did it to stand in solidarity with Kamala Harris, according to an inside source. She stood up for Kamala Harris in Texas. She stood up and spoke out for her. She spoke at the event. She was hardcore, but she just didn't want Nelly to be a part of Trump's event with her song, with their song. Now, Nelly was at the top of the charts for 10 consecutive weeks. It was a Grammy Award-winning song. It was huge. So I get that if you're going to do your biggest hits, this is one of them. For both of them, it's a huge song. But Kelly Rowland's like, all money ain't good money. You're not going to come up here and play in my face. You're not going to take the song that we made. You're not going to take the song that we made and make it one of them. Nah, they're not gonna be dancing or humming or slow dancing or winding or grinding or swaying to Dilemma. Nope. You're gonna pick something else, Nelly. Have them listen to country grammar. That's appropriate. By the way, country grammar went hard, yo. Don't act like y'all ain't like country grammar. People think about that as, I'm like, that is gangster rap. You know what I mean? That is gangster music. If you think I'm going down, baby, yo, street in the range, and there I go. Got the street sweeper ready to let it go. Like, he talking that shit. He just did it with a melody. Please understand that that song goes a little bit hard. So it would have been interesting to see like how they dealt with that. Now, Hot in Here is the easy one. But whatever it is, I'm glad that Kelly Rowland shut that shit down. That's how you use your power. That's how you use your power. All right, y'all. That's the show for tonight. Your boy is tired, but I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I was excited to be here. Shout out to Trisha Gonzalez again for dropping that super sticker. If anyone else wants to drop one, I'm right here. Thank you. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're so inclined, hit that join button. We could use the support all day, every day. If you don't want to make a one-time commitment, a monthly commitment, which you can by hitting the join button, you can make a one-time commitment. Hit Cash App, hit PayPal, hit Venmo, hit Zelle. Go to any of them and drop something there. If you drop $1, we are grateful. If you drop $1 million, I am extra grateful. But anything in the middle is welcomed as well. It would be amazing if everybody watching right now were to drop $10, because if everybody watching right now were to leave $10, we'd be able to meet all of our financial goals for the month. We'd meet all of our financial goals for the month if everybody watching were to drop $10 right now. I want to shout out Dan Wilson for his generous donation as well. I'm so grateful for y'all. And if you're that millionaire out there that wants to support independent media, you want to support Black media, you want to support left-wing media, go to that Cash App, go to that Zelle, go to that Venmo, and drop something like it's hot. Drop that $1 million. Drop that $500,000. Drop $100,000. That's for anybody out there who wants to drop that. You will give us the strength and the stability and the legs we need to be successful here. All right, family. Oh my God, Andrea, thank you so much for the super sticker as well. I mean, just so much generosity here, so much love. I'm so grateful. And let's keep that energy going, y'all. Drop it through super stuff, drop it through joining the channel, or drop it through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Whatever you drop, we are more grateful than I could ever imagine, man. So just thank you all for the love, particularly as we get to the heart of this month. Bina Magatukatil, thank you also for the generous donation. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. All right, family. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.